Good evening. As everybody knows, I've said several times about how I homeschool my grandchild. And I often bounce things back and forth between me and one of my girlfriends who also homeschool. She has 3 children that she homeschools, from Tristan's age on up to a teenager. And she's doing a great job, and we bounce stuff back and forth. And she brought this to my attention. And she says to me, Mom, it's really worth that you look this up. And I did look it up. I do want to bring it to your attention because it's not just New Jersey, it's several states that is trying to get this instituted. I did print it out because I don't want to misspeak, but let me read it to you, and then I will give you my thoughts, and I would appreciate it for those of you who do homeschool to give me your thoughts on it. So with that being said, I'm going to read it to you now. It's called Make Homeschool Safe Act. The Make Homeschool Safe Act is not a single existing law, but a model bill or template for legislation that could be proposed by the states to regulate homeschooling. Proposed and discussed around 2024 and early 2025. The act aims to protect children by mandating things like parent qualification, which means diploma or GED, curriculum standards, annual assessments by outsiders, annual registration, and medical records. It also includes provisions to prevent parents under child abuse investigation from homeschooling their children, even if the investigation is unsubstantiated. Okay, so now let's get into it. What the act proposes: mandatory registration. Parents would be required to register their homeschooled child with their local school district. Parents' qualifications. Parents might need a high school diploma or GED to homeschool. Curriculum and instruction. The act could mandate specific subjects taught and the method of instruction, annual assessments, yearly evaluations of students performing by qualified individuals would be required. And this is not a bill that was passed yet, but basically it's in everybody's ear and they're talking about it in the government scheme of it, education scheme of it, Board of Education scheme of it. Multiple states are involved in this. You have to do your own homework. You have to see if this is happening in your state and what your rights are. Now, with that being said, this is my personal opinion, and I feel very, very strongly on this. Okay? When I decided to homeschool my grandchild, it was for very good reasons, which I'm not really going to get into any specifics. But needless to say, I could have buried my head. At the time that I elected to homeschool him, I was 61 years old. Okay? But after observing him, and him being in the school district, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and seeing him struggle to read the simplest words, to not know how to spell the simplest words. I thought long and I thought hard. I had faith in the school system until I did not. And at that point, I thought long and hard throughout the summer, and I started doing my little evaluations on him. Okay? Yes, I do have a high school diploma, which in all reality, okay, you don't have to have a high school diploma to be smart. You don't. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. But after doing many assessments on him and gently encouraging him to interact with me as far as spelling, reading, writing, math. I even went so far as social studies. I seen that he was lacking very badly in all of these subjects, to the point where I said, he has to be with me. He has to be able to have a one-on-one with me. And me as a grandparent and a guardian, I have to know that he's learning, which before I thought he was, until I started really getting down to the nitty-gritty. And he was in an IEP class, which further made my decision a lot easier than if he was in mainstream. I would have probably gave it one more year, but I did not. Not to mention the religion part of it. Okay? Every child, I think, has a right to religion, whatever it may be. Catholic, Jewish, any religion, a child should have some kind of education. The school could not give that to them. Not to mention, with these new movements, we did a video last night on all of these things that they want to teach their children, that they want to institute. Not saying that his school per se did, but making it okay for them to think that it's okay to be a, how do I say this lightly, a he, she, them, it, whatever you want to call it. I don't want that taught to my child, not at such a young, impressionable age. Not to mention enlightening him to a child's body. At his age, he needs to learn his own body first. So I know, like when I was in school, we did in health class have some sex education, but nothing like that I felt and I seen coming down the pike of what they wanted to teach these children. So with that being said, he has learned so much being with me. And yes, he has religion in his life. He has all the basic skills in his life I'm teaching him. Not to mention history. Okay, history is a big part. Science, social studies, economics, as far as economic class, cooking, sewing. These are all things that were taught to me, and I feel that it's important that it's being taught to him. Introducing script writing or cursive writing. I feel that's important. They don't do that no more. As far as telling time, where's the old time clock? Instead of knowing numbers. That's not teaching them anything. And there's a few points that I did want to touch on here, which, all right, parents' qualifications. I think that a parent knows what to teach their children. And if not, there's plenty of programs out there that they can access for free. I myself, I pay for a program. And I also have several ones that are for free. And I also do them on my own. Okay? Annual assessments. Why do you think that I pulled my child away from the Board of Education? If I pulled him out, there was a reason for that. I don't need somebody looking over my shoulder. Standard curriculum standards. Math, reading, writing, and so on. If you're going to homeschool your child, I think that we know what we have to do. Okay? Medical records. Again, that's between the doctor, myself, and my grandson. Why would they need that if he's homeschooled? They don't need to be still imposing themselves in our life. We removed him or her from that education realm because we had a reason to. Okay. Mandatory registration. Parents would be required to register their homeschooled child with their local school district. Why on God's green earth would I ever want to register him with the school? Why? He's not going to you. You're not teaching him. I am. I am now the teacher. I am now the instructor. Okay? Should not be mandatory that I still have to deal with the Board of Education. As I said, I touched on the parents' qualifications. Okay. Excuse me. Annual assessments. Yearly evaluations of students performed by qualified individuals will be required. Okay. I'm going to say this as nicely as possible. Where was the annual performance qualified individuals when I had to qualify my grandson myself and see that he wasn't learning and see that there was a problem going on there? So that, right out the window. Again, stayed out of our homeschooling. We did this for a reason. Not to mention religion. Okay, saying the national anthem, standing up every morning, saluting your flag. Need I say more? You know, if this bill passes, it will take all of our rights as homeschoolers, as homeschooling parents or grandparents or guardian. It will take our rights away. And that's one right that should not be taken away from us. We know what to teach our children. We have the tools out there. And even if you don't have a high school diploma or you don't have a GED, there's plenty of people that will help you. There's plenty of programs that are available in the libraries, online, homeschool groups. And I feel that the child will be well diverse in so many different aspects of life than whereas if he was in a school setting. People can agree with me or disagree with me. But that being said, I am steadfast on keeping my grandchild in a home environment where I know how I'm teaching him and I know what he is retaining, and I know that he's going to have religion in his life, and I know that he will have the skills to succeed. And if he decides to go to regular school when he's a teenager, maybe high school, that's his decision. When that bridge comes, I will cross it. But until then, if this bill passes, it takes every right away from us as homeschoolers. And I tell you, look it up. Look it up. See where it's at in your state. Follow it closely. And there's so many more bills that I'm going to do a couple more videos on them. I just looked up the ones in New Jersey. But do your homework. Look up the bills they're trying to pass or what they're talking about passing in your state. Be well informed. And there's plenty of help out there that will... Sorry, that was a fly. There's plenty of help out there advocates for homeschooling that you can contact. Get their contact numbers, even if you never use them. With that, I'm going to say goodnight. God bless. Continue to homeschool your children. I feel that it's the best. Please be safe out there and watch your surroundings. With that, I will again say goodnight.